The betrayal. I still remember the night everything changed. The walls of my apartment were supposed to be my sanctuary, my own space, the one place where I could finally live without judgment. At 26, I had worked hard to pay for it, to make it my own. But instead of peace, the walls echoed with my mother's furious voice, sharp enough to slice through the silence. She stood in the middle of the living room, trembling with rage, her fingers stabbing the air at me. "How dare you?" she screamed. "How dare you bring shame into this house?" Her words hit me like blows. Shame? For what? For being with my girlfriend, the woman I loved, under my own roof. We weren't children anymore. We were both 26, adults making our own choices. And yet, in that moment, I felt like a guilty teenager caught in the act of something forbidden. My girlfriend, Emma, stood beside me, frozen, her cheeks flushed with humiliation. She tried to speak, to explain, but my mother's voice drowned her out. "You think you're a man because you pay rent. You think this gives you the right to defile everything I raised you to be." The betrayal didn't come from her anger alone. It came from what happened next. I had always trusted Emma with every corner of my heart. But in the days that followed, whispers started to reach me, half-truths, strange looks from family friends, text messages that didn't make sense. And then, one evening, when Emma thought I wasn't home, I overheard her speaking softly on the phone. "Don't worry," she said. "He still thinks it was his mother who pushed me away. He has no idea it was us who planned it. Soon, it will all be over." My blood ran cold. U.S.? Who was she talking to? And what did she mean by planned? The betrayal unfolded piece by piece, like a puzzle I didn't want to complete. I discovered that Emma had been confiding in my mother for months, feeding her doubts, telling her about her private life in ways that twisted the truth. My mother's rage wasn't just a mother's overreaction, it had been carefully crafted, ignited by Emma's whispered manipulations. Emma hadn't wanted independence, hadn't wanted a future with me. She wanted control, and my mother, blinded by her own strict beliefs, had become the perfect weapon. The night I confronted Emma was the night I realized love could be more dangerous than hate. Her eyes, once so warm, turned cold when I said I knew everything. She didn't deny it. She didn't even flinch. She just smirked and said, "Now you finally understand." The betrayal party, her smirk lingered in the dim light of the apartment, and it felt like the entire world had shifted under my feet. "Now you finally understand," Emma repeated, her voice calm, almost amused, as if she had been waiting for this confrontation. "Understand what?" I demanded, though my throat was dry, the words breaking apart before they even reached her. "That you were never really in control," she said, crossing her arms. "Your mother and we've been talking for months. She sees me for who I am. She knows how to protect me, and she knows how to keep you in line." Her words sank in like poison. My mother, my own mother, the woman who raised me, who told me to trust her, had been conspiring against me with the person I loved. Emma stepped closer, her perfume sharp in my nose, her expression terrifyingly serene. "Do you think she was angry because of what you did? No. She was angry because I told her everything you might do. I made sure she was ready to explode the moment I needed her to. She was never yelling at me, she was yelling at you. Because that's what I wanted." The room seemed to collapse around me. Suddenly, all the arguments, all the cutting words my mother had thrown at me, made sense. They hadn't been born out of her own disapproval alone. They'd been sharpened and handed to her by Emma. I tried to steady my voice. "Why? Why would you do this to me?" Emma tilted her head. "Because you were weak. You thought love was about honesty, about trust. But love is power, and I wanted it. Your mother was so easy to turn against you, her pride, her judgment, her obsession with control. All I had to do was whisper, and she believed me. You were a project, not a partner." Her words were a knife, twisting deeper with each syllable. For days after that night, I wandered through my apartment like a ghost. Emma left, but her presence lingered in the silence, in the empty spaces where laughter used to be. My mother, meanwhile, acted as if nothing had happened. She visited occasionally, asking questions with a sweetness that tasted like poison. I realized then that betrayal wasn't a single moment, it was a slow-burning fire, consuming everything until there was nothing left but ashes. But I wasn't going to let them win. Part 3, Revenge. I began quietly. No anger, no shouting, just listening, watching. My mother and Emma had grown arrogant, careless. They still spoke on the phone, and I made sure to overhear. They still met in secret, and I followed, unnoticed. Piece by piece, I gathered their words, their plans, their lies. Emma had moved into another man's apartment, but not because she loved him. He was just another pawn, someone with money, someone she could charm and manipulate the same way she had done with me. My mother supported her, even encouraged her, convinced that Emma was the right kind of woman for her son if only I could learn to behave. The irony was almost laughable, but laughter turned into resolve. I started documenting everything: recordings, text messages, bank transfers Emma had persuaded my mother to make on her behalf. I compiled it all, a quiet archive of treachery, and when the time was right, I set it free. The first wave hit my mother's closest friends. Anonymous emails filled with screenshots and audio clips. Gossip spread like wildfire in her social circle, shattering the image she had worked so hard to maintain. The perfect mother, the respectable woman, suddenly she was the fool, exposed as a pawn in her own son's downfall. The second wave was for Emma. Her new boyfriend received every piece of evidence, every detail of her betrayal, every cruel word she had said behind his back. He threw her out within a week. Her reputation crumbled, the web of lies she had spun unraveled all at once. But the final blow was personal. I invited my mother over one evening, told her I wanted to talk. She arrived, cautious but curious, still convinced she held authority over me. I poured her a glass of wine, watched her take a sip, and then slid the folder across the table. "Read it," I said simply. Page after page, her own words stared back at her: transcribed phone calls, conversations with Emma, plans they had made together. I watched her face drain of color as she realized I knew everything. When she finally looked up, her voice cracked. "You would do this to your own mother." I held her gaze, steady, unflinching. "No, mother, you did this to your own son." For the first time, she had no words. She left that night without another sound. Part IV, the aftermath. Emma tried to contact me weeks later, begging for forgiveness, claiming she had been confused, that she still loved me. I didn't answer. I didn't need to. Her power was gone, her manipulations stripped bare. As for my mother, our relationship became nothing more than silence. She avoided me, humiliated by the truth, and I let the distance grow. Sometimes betrayal isn't something you heal, it's something you leave behind. And me? I rebuilt. Slowly, painfully, but with a clarity I had never known before. I learned that trust is not a gift, it's a weapon. You give it to the wrong person, and they will cut you open. But give it to the right one, and maybe, just maybe, it can heal you. The walls of my apartment are quiet now. No screams, no lies, no whispered conspiracies. Only me, stronger than before. And when I think of betrayal, I no longer think of myself as the victim. I think of myself as the survivor.